every 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Mission Control here in a snowy, cold day in Colorado. That's right, in Colorado we have snow in the middle of April because we have 70 degrees days in December, and Colorado likes to mess with us like that. So today, everybody, we're going to go over blind mode and scene master. I know we did that some already, but we're going to go back over it again. With a little bit more of a focus on it. We're also going to have a good poke at key profiles and hope to have you guys understand those a little bit better. So with that, let's get started. And hello everyone who wasn't saying hello. I do see you all, and I do try to at least acknowledge you. So operating and programming in blind mode. When you're running a show, there are often times you need to either make changes to the queue while outputting the stage or record an entirely new queue. Blind mode gives you a completely separate programmer, which will not output live, but can be seen in the visualizer or in outputs in DMX settings, which are configured as blind outputs. I use the blind key to enter and exit blind mode. You can fade the contents in the programmer in blind mode to a live output rather than pressing blind and having the programmer cleared. Before exiting out of blind mode, use the syntax buttons to select a fade in time, such as 3 for a 3-second fade in, and then press blind. The programmer won't clear, but will fade your look from the blind programmer to the live output. Any changes you make in the queue view are in blind mode, so if the queue is already active, the changes will not be visible until you refire the queue. So let's have a poke at that before we get into Scene Master here. And we're going to, we'll switch to our Titan Go display. Again, I'm using version 13, but there's no differences here between versions 11 and 13, so it's not going to matter. We'll go through a couple of things on this one, and I'll put up capture at the same time so that we can see the stuff that would be like our actual live real-world view. So here we see we've got our blind key is right here. I was blind for finding it for a moment, but hey, maybe that's why it's called the blind key. I don't know. Ha ha ha. Funny. Anyhow, if we hit our blind key, it will put us in the blind mode. Now we can make anything we do in the program will only be seen in our internal capture and not our external capture. So I'm going to go ahead and toss up our full version of capture and our mobile, our Titan Go display here at the same time, so you guys can see it, what's actually going on. So in blind mode here, if let me go ahead and fire a playback. So I've got a playback running, and let's say that I want to change. I don't like this position, and I want to change it. I can just I set my BMFLs, and I can locate them. And we see they locate on the internal capture here, but not in our real world full version of capture over there, because it is representing our real lights. So now if I make a change, I can change to this position palette, let's say. I can then record this to this queue, or just know that that's what it was going to do. I'll go ahead and just record it. Actually, let's do this. I don't want to mess that queue up today. Let's do a copy you to here. Now if I record it to this queue, it will have that new position in it. So if I just hit blind, we'll see that it just stops running in our internal capture and keeps going on our full version is still the same. If we go back to page 1 here and we drop and raise this fader, if we go to page 2 and raise it, we can see that it has recorded that into it. So that's fine, all and dandy. So say that we've got, we'll throw this playback up, and I'm cheating and using my mobile here. And let's say that I want to try changing colors on these fixtures. So what I could do is go into my blind mode, and then I could select my beam 150s, and I can look at different colors and see what I think look right here. And let's say that, yeah, I want it to go to green just to make Sam happy. If I type a time like 5, and then hit the blind key, we'll see that my real world and my internal visualizer both fade to the blind look that we had in the programmer before. We can see that we still have that color of the programmer because the C down here is in light blue. If I hit clear on the programmer, obviously it would clear the programmer out, but everything would still be live because it's now live. I could enter blind mode again if I wish to. Maybe select these fixtures and give them a locate and a position and a color. And then I could use, again, I could type in a time like 5 and hit blind and have everything fade in over that 5 seconds. Pretty darn handy, and it's just, Sam, you should have expected the green because I do it just to annoy you because I love it ever so much. Look at that, I got red, green, and blue up just to be super annoying. Let me see for a moment if we got any questions. Here it looks like Sam did answer that question, but I'll hold an answer is blind. The difference between blind mode and disabling DMX output. Disabling DMX output, you're stopping DMX from coming out of the black of the console. Blind is just a separate programmer that doesn't output to the real world, only to your internal visualizer. If I see here, we'll have something running. So we actually got a shape, or let me find something's actually got a shape to it. There we are. Let's do this mixer wall where we've got, we actually have something running. If I enter blind mode, we see that my shape still continues to run. If I disable DMX output, that shape would stop running. So I can still select those fixtures, and I can change their color, and I could even do, if I go to Shapes and Effects, Shape Generator, Create, All, I go back, oh, of course now, block all shapes. I can stop the shape from running, at least it should have. And now it's just being a pain in my butt, and well, I don't know why it didn't stop, but it should have. But the point being is that if we typed a time 5 and then hit our blind key, it would fade to our real world output. It does actually stop it in our real world, like it should have. I'm not sure why it kept running on the internal display. That might be a quirk I'll have to bring up to the dev crew that shouldn't necessarily be like that. If we hit clear, of course, then it's going to go back to running because we cleared that shape, and of course it stays yellow because LTP, and we haven't told it to do anything else. So we haven't told it to change to another color, so it's still going to stay yellow. If I tap my flash button, it goes back to no color. Coming out of blind mode, can I make movement happen before dimmer? I don't think I can do attribute. Can we do attribute, Sam? Attribute times when coming in out of blind? Not sure if we can. Joanne? Yes, that's the whole point of blind mode. So what we could do here is we could, well, yes and no. So I'll show you. Well, actually, kind of a twisted question there. Can a completely different cue be worked on in blind mode in internal capture while a different scene is active in the real world? Yes and no, but I'll show you our next step in the little world here that we have. Yeah, I'm not sure we can do group attribute times with that, but Joanne, well, that'll be hold on for a second. That question will be answered in the next section that we talk about. But that's the basics of blind. I'll try and have a poke later in Arrow and see if we can do group attribute times coming out of blind programmer, but I don't think you can because I don't know how we would make it happen. So we'll switch back to our slides here for a quick moment. Scene Master allows the user to set up states ready to output and be controlled by one master fader. Unlike blind mode, Scene Master, once in preset mode, won't output any changes made to the programmer and on playbacks. To create a Scene Master, press record, record master, scene master, and assign it to a free playback. We'll do this here in a moment. The boot button for the master will have the key profile called enter exit on the gray button, and the gray button will be commit. This allows the user to enter and exit out of the preset and live modes and commit fade times between both. Check my next slide. To fire playback in the press the blue enter exit button. This will take you to the preset mode, and I don't feel like reading this slide today, so I'm going to stop, and we're just going to do this instead of talking about it. So let's switch back over to our mobile display here, and I'm going to grab the right mouse. Go ahead and just record a scene. I'm going to move this cue list I got here at the end just to get it out of the way for a moment, so we got a space for something. So we'll do move you to here, and then go back down here, and then we'll do record, create master, scene master, and we'll choose a fader, and it'll be this one. And then we'll AVO exit out of this menu. And we see now that we've got scene master here, and our blue button is enter exit, and the gray button is commit. These currently don't change in the interface to reflect a key profile change. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, but that's a for now. Ooh, something coming in the future, I'll just say that. So we've got our scene master here. Let me go ahead and switch back over to our dual display so we can see capture and internal and external capture at the same time. So let's say that I've got this scene up and running, and so I've got that happen hunky-dory and want to run with that. I'll hit my blue swap button here to engage the scene master. We'll see that it now says preset instead of live. So in preset mode, I can now do anything. I can do it with the programmer, so I could just do, select all of these and throw a locate on them. And I can even drop this fader. And we see that that's no longer running on my internal capture, but it is running on my external. So then I could, give it some color palettes and a position and a gobo, and we'll even add a circle to it and throw a little spread on it, because the spread on one is silly. Really? What's the spread on there, silly head? I think it's the user numbers in this group are a little funky. So you do that, and we can see that this is only happening in our internal visualizer, and nothing's happening in our real world lights. So then I could say this is the cue that I wanted. I could just straight out record it from here if I chose. And check my record mode is fixture, and record it there. I can hit clear. Through the programmer, I can even fire this cue. And then if I go back to my scene master and I move my fader up, we'll see it fades in to that other cue that we recorded. So basically with scene master, you have the ability to use either playbacks and the programmer, or just playbacks. So you can just, if we change playbacks here, say that we want to go to this one here, and then we'll go back to this page and we'll drop this one. And then we'll say that we're happy with that. We can use our fader down now and fade that into our real world. All right? So we change it again. Say that's what I'm happy with. I can then fade to that. I can also do timed, so we can change everything here, and so that's what we want to go to. I can type a time, like 5, again, my favorite time, and hit our gray button by default, will be commit, and we'll see that it fades to the live view in 5 seconds. So that's pretty handy there. Any questions on Scene Master? Yes, Sam, that's a good point. We could do to put the playback into blind mode also in the playback options. And we'll just since we're talking about blind and scene master, we'll show that real quick. So if we were to, we're going to go ahead and turn off our scene mode here, our scene master. And one thing is remember to turn it off when you're done using it, or you'll be really confused why if we leave it on here and we're trying to fire playbacks and we're just not looking down at the desk, we're looking out at our real world lights, we're trying to figure out why nothing's working. Because we left it in scene master mode. So if we turn scene master mode off, we can now actually fire these playbacks. I've done that entirely too many times while trying to use my blinders, and I've been playing around with Scene Master, and I get turned off, and I'm trying to flash my blinders, and they're not, quote unquote, not working because they're working, they're flashing straight away in the internal visualizer, but they're not doing anything out in the real world. So, always a good idea to keep an eye on that to make sure you release it. Now, in the playback options, we talk about here about having it in blind mode. Just because this is just disgusting here, I'm just gonna double tap release to turn everything off real quick. If we hit our playback options and we select the playback, we'll pick this one. And if we turn it to blind mode, and we exit all the way out of that, we'll see that it turns black on the display. Then notice, hey, this isn't going to work because it's in blind mode. So if we fire it, we can see that it fires on our internal visualizer, but nothing goes out to our full capture in the real world. Does that make sense there? And of course, if we turn it off, we turn blind mode off, we have to refire the cue for it to actually go out to our real world. Oh, I forgot about that little bug. And that's a little bug in capture. If we go back into here and turn this back on, raise and lower it, and it goes fully away. So if you have it active, you have the playback on when you turn the blind mode off in the playback options. It can get stuck in the capture visualizer. So be aware of that. Hopefully that gets fixed in the next version, but be aware that it exists. Check on any questions here real quick. I'm not exactly sure what you mean, Chris. Can you try asking again? Or maybe not. Or Chris is really delayed, one of the two. While we wait for that, are any other questions on Blind or Scene Master? Same ones I've been using all along. The same, it's still the QPix 5. You can use Scene Master on anything. Keyless are just fine. It doesn't care. what playbacks you're using. I just don't have a key list handy on that particular page of faders. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about key profiles, which seems to be sometimes be a mystery to folks. Key profile set how keys behave either for the console as a whole, global, or per playback. From the system menu, Avo plus disk, choose key profiles to edit the global settings or playback options, and then handle for per playback. These are, so if we go through, if we change our keys, these are what each cue can be, or which key can be for each different type of an item that you're setting the key for. If it's a cue, the blue or gray key can be allocated to disabled, flash, swap, latch, preload, and go. If it's a chase, the blue or gray key can be allocated to disabled, flash, swap, latch, go, stop, preload, connect, or tap tempo. If it's a cue list, the blue or gray key can be allocated to disabled, flash, swap, latch, or swap, go back, stop, preload, connect, next queue plus, next queue minus, review live queue, cut next queue to live, snap back, release, flash and go, and timed flash and go. Those are both new. Were new in version 11. If it's a macro, it can be either select or prefer macro. This function will take precedence over other functions stored on the buttons. Oops, wrong keyboard. If it's a master, this is divided into standard masters and scene master. For standard master, the options are disabled, selection, flash, latch, tempo, nudge up, nudge down, release, reset multiplier, multiplier times 2, zero the multiplier, connect, and freeze. These last two options are for rate and BPM masters. Freeze is probably one of my favorite key profiles when it comes to BPM masters. So basically, you press and hold the key, and while you're holding it, the BPM is dropped to 0. When you let it go, it goes back to right what it was before. I like it. So if it's a scene master, for scene master, the options are disabled, exit scene mode, enter scene mode, commit changes, and exit scene mode, or enter exit scene mode, enter or commit scene mode. If it's a group master, the options are flash, time flash, and swap. Tip the executor buttons, use the touch function, and the black key is only for the Sapphire touch. So the executor buttons use the touch function. Something I'll try to get you guys' head quite a bit. The executor keys are going to be the keys that are listed on your console. There's probably something like workspaces, macros, and executors, or something along those lines. On the Quartz and mobile, it's going to be, actually here, we'll show this with the virtual panel. So if we slide over here, and I open up my virtual panel, whoops, not C's, Avolites, there we go. And open the virtual panel up. I see here, the last one I have loaded on here is the Tiger Touch Pro. So on the Tiger Touch Pro and the Tiger Touch 2, because it looks the same in this area, these keys here are the workspace, executors, and macros button, and those are considered touch keys in key profiles. If we switch our panel to, we'll do the mobile first, since it's basically the same as the mobile and the arena or the quartz. These buttons here are considered touch keys in the key profiles. If we load, I think this one for the Sapphire will do what I want. Yes, it will. These buttons here are considered touch buttons in key profiles. And of course, on the mobile wing, which doesn't have a virtual panel, all the buttons that are above the faders would be the same touch function. And even though it's pretty much the same as the Tiger Touch, we'll go ahead and load the arena just for giggles. And we'll scroll on over. And these keys here would be considered touch keys. So it just the color of the key doesn't matter in this. It has to do with what it is and for what it does. so we can make these anything we want. They can be a playback, a cue list, some masters, whatever we want here. And we just set the key profile. When we try to set certain touch for it, it's going to have to be the touch key. Again, the black key is only available on the Sapphire Touch. So I'm going to load up the mobile panel for something we're going to do in a little while, and just kind of make this window a little smaller, and stash this out of the way for right now. Read some questions and take a quick sip. Yes, Joanne. Preload is basically moving dark for a single cue. So we can actually it says open on the Titan Mobile. The view key is labeled open right here. So you got open here and close here in the window control section. So it's the open key. Same thing on the Quartz. Yes, because it would be a touch. If it's an actual, sorry, I didn't say that clearly. I actually didn't say it at all. So, if it's in the playback's workspace and it's a touch an on-screen button, like an actual, let me get this out of the way for a moment. These are all considered touch buttons because they're on the touch screen. It's unintuitive and probably one of my most annoyance parts of Titan that the macros and executor buttons aren't more clearly labeled in key profiles. I've been campaigning to have it changed, and I swear next time I go to the UK, I'm going to stand on Ollie's desk and stomp my feet until he changes it in Titan to say touch and executor buttons or something along those lines to make it a little bit more intuitive, since it's completely not now. But let's see here. We're happy to have play here. I want to check something real quick. Okay. So let's have some play with some of these key profiles and go through some of the buttons here. So so if we go into the user, if we hold down the Avo key and we go to select key profile, we can set a key profile. We can set it for all the keys in the entire console. By default, you've got Run, Program, Theater, and Nightclub. If you click on the Run key, which is now our keys act differently than they did before. And I can't remember what the profiles are for each one. I think if we go into the actual user settings, we can do it. So actually, let's go to, we can edit the current key profile. We'll just give it a name. Oh, really? We can go through the different things to change it for. If we have fixtures, we set what each of the buttons does. Go through it that way. I think if we go into our user settings, we can see this a little bit better, actually. So open up the user settings window, and if we go to key profiles, we can there view the profiles. We can view Run, and then we can see what each one of them does. You can see what the takeover key profile does. It is listed as black, gray, blue, I believe, or is it blue, black, or blue, gray, black? It's black, gray, blue. That's what it is. Sorry. And then if we hit the program key, you can see what the program key profile, which is the default theater or nightclub, and the user one, which is one we haven't actually modified, but just made one of it. So we could change them out to anything we wanted. I'm going to leave these back on program, just so the buttons behave how I normally expect. So we'll make sure that's what it is doing. There we go. Now we're on the standard program one. Now, so if we do it on a per playback basis, So we'll select playback and we'll select this one and we'll go to the handle tab and then key profile and we'll just add a new one for it. So we'd add new and we give it a name. I'm just going to leave it named Q6 just because I'm being lazy about it. And if I hit OK, I can now change whatever keys, what I want the keys to do on this particular fader. We don't have a black key because we're not using a sapphire today. Blue key, we can go and change it. So maybe we'll change it from swap to preload. And we'll leave our gray key as flash. And our touch key we'll just leave as latch for now because we're not actually using a touch key for this one. It's an actual fader. So we'll just exit out of that and it will have saved it. So now if I take all my beams and locate them, so we know that they're, let's give it position tilt. So they're all pointing straight up like that, right? So if I hit my blue button here to preload, we bring my fader up. And it might have been not the best one to do it at. Let me do a different one here. Let's do, we'll do this one. So if we select all the fixtures in this, which should be just about everything, I think, we'll just locate everything and hit clear. Oops, and drop this playback. And we'll do playback options here, and we'll go to handle key profile, and I can pick that same one I already made. So it's usually I give it a better name other than just being lazy. And now I want to exit out of it. Oops, I want to have that one. No, this one. If I hit my blue swap button, instead of my lights being all pointed down, they're already in position. So it's basically, like I said, like a move in dark, but for a per cue basis. I like to use that a lot. And usually on sapphires, I usually make my black key preload. Let's play with some of the other keys we have here. Some of the other profiles, and I'll make a specific situation here in a moment. So we've got that. So if we, just to show it again, if we select all of our fixtures and we locate them, we know they're all pointing in down this position like this. And normally if I didn't use preload and I did that, we'd see them all move into place, right? So I'll locate again, hit clear, hit my blue swap button, which I've made preload. And now when I bring them in, they don't move any. They're already in position. Because it'll set your position, your color, and all that, just like Move in Dark would do on a cue list, which can be kind of handy. So let's talk about some of the other keys in there. This is probably a big one that people ask for a lot of. How do I make the button, one of the macros and executor buttons, a flash key rather than a latch key? So we're going to bring up our mobile display here and kind of slide it off to the side just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and let's see here. We'll select our BMFLs and we'll throw a locate on them. And actually, I'm going to just minimize this for a minute because I don't need it for a moment. We're going to put our tilt like this and go to color and make sure it's like what we want there. And our intensity at full, and we'll get a random strobe going with it. So then I bring up my mobile display so I can see it again. Now I'm going to record this to this playback here and replace. Apparently I had something recorded there before, but we're just going to replace it. And then we're going to hit clear. So if we fire this playback and we hit this one, we see all of our lights go, our BMFLs go to painting forward and strobing. We click it off. They still keep doing that because we haven't told them to do anything else. So if we go to playback options and we select this key, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my release and I'm going to set my release mask to local, and I'm going to include intensity, pan and tilt, and color. Then I'm going to go to my handle tab, and for key profile I'm going to change it. I could change it to, so any of these have, They don't have a flash for touch. But I can just go ahead and add a new one. Again, I'm going to be too lazy to type a name, so I'm just going to hit OK. And you want to make my touch key flash. And then I'm going to exit all the way out. So now when I hit and press this button, we see that my BMFLs go up in strobing. When I let go of the button, they release back to what they were doing before. And the release has got a 2-second fade on it by default. So that's why it's got a 2-second. We can change that if we wanted to. I'll go back into our effect, or series my release. Change release time from global to 0.5. And hit exit. So now when I flash it, they fade out back out in a half second. Let's say I wanted that to fade in to take a time. Yes, nightclub. I like to make my own. See, I'm a rebel like that. I prefer making my own. But let's show that if we say we wanted this to fade in when we clicked it, not just flash up. So we went in here, edit times, and we set a time fade in of. We're making it excessively long right now just to help get the point across. We put a 2-second fade on it. Now, if you use that flash button, it's not fading in 2 seconds, right? It's because we need to change the key profile to timed flash. So if we go to playback options, and we go here, and we go to the handle and key 14, and we're just going to add another new one just to make my life easy, and we'll call it 1, 2, 3. Hit OK, and then we're going to change our touch key to timed flash. Now exit all the way out. So now when I hit this button, see that it fades in over 2 seconds, and when I let it go, it fades out in that same release time. But I could put a fade out time on it if I wanted to. I just wanted to show how you get something to fade in on your flash key. You need to change it to a timed flash. And we can do that on any of our playbacks here also. If we wanted to, let's say we'll make this one, we'll do this one as a timed flash also. So if I go to playback options for this playback, and I go to handle, and I go to key profile, and I change it to that 1, 2, 3 that I just made. So whoops. So now we'll see if I hit the flash button. Oops, I got to actually set a time for it too. Otherwise, it's never going to work. And I can set it to, we'll do 5 seconds again. We'll do 5 seconds just because it's excessively long, and that's always fun. So now if I hit the flash button here, we'll see that made a complete fool of me. Why did that not work? I picked the wrong one. No, that should be working. Okay, really, mister? Why are you going to make me look silly here? Oh, this one might have a... We can also have a separate flash time, which should work, but that should work straight away. For why are you now working? Really? Well, for some reason, that's trying to make me look silly and not work correctly here. Let's step over here and see if we've got any questions that I can answer while I stop making myself look silly. Sure, you can set a keyframe shape to listen to BPM masters just fine. I thought we covered that in our BPM master days. Well, I guess we didn't. We just had chases then. But we have time. So we will, for giggles, let's show it since we don't seem to have any other questions that are really asking about key profiles. And that's pretty much made the really high points I wanted to hit. We can sit here and go through every key profile and set everyone 1,000 times, but that seems a little wasteful of time and effort. I think everyone gets the basic idea. So let's just show that with a keyframe shape and a BPM master. So I'm going to close this to get rid of it so it's out of my way. And we'll do, let's see here, we'll move U2. Whoops. to another page to get you out of the way. And we'll do record, create master, BPM master 1. We'll toss it right there. And let's release any playbacks we've got up. And let's do, I'll just make my standard favor one. So we'll do, whoops, I need to exit all the way out of that record mode there. All right, now shapes and effects. Keyframe shape, create. So I'm going to take my position, put it at pan and tilt at 50-50. And add frame. And then tilt them out. Add frame, finish recording frames. Plus button, new layer. Intensity, add 0. Add frame, add full, add frame. Finish recording frames. And spread to 10 works for this one for me. It does, because I can see capture. I guess I'll throw that up so you guys can see it too. Let's put our direction. Let's do this. This has got such a funky group layout that direction's looking a little weird, but that's okay. So we'll say I'm happy with all of that. Beats per cycle will change to, now leave that at custom how it was. How about on keyframes? Yeah, go back to custom. So we're happy with that. We'll hit record. We'll record it here. We'll exit and we'll clear it. Playback options here. Effects. Speed source. BPM. Whoops, that's rate master 1. BPM master 1. And exit all the way out of that menu. So now if we see if I tap my BPM master really fast, it gets excessively annoying. If I tap slow, we can see we get that. John, I did show exactly that on the other display here with the flash button having the timed in flash. So let me turn off this playback and we're going to do, I'll reopen the virtual panel again. We'll see here if I do playback options here and I go to handle. Remember, we use that 1, 2, 3 key profile and the touch button is timed flash. So I exit out of here and now I hit this. We can see that it, we have something else running. We see that it fades in over 2 seconds. Because that's what I set it to be. Let me check edit times, check it. I see our flashes fade in is 2 seconds. I could even make it more extreme. Take it to 5. Now when I flash in, we see it fades in over 5 seconds, which is forever long. Well, if they're already on Aero, they're going to stay on because, again, Scene Master's putting stuff into the scene, loading it into the blind of the Scene Master, not taking anything away from anything else. So if I have this playback running and this playback running, I'll just leave that target look on because that works for it. And then I enter Scene Master mode and I fire this one and unfire this one. We can see that our other one is still running and we haven't changed anything, even if I fade into it to live. We see that it's not our still little target one kept running the entire time. Does that make sense? And I had my mic muted, and I don't know how long I had it muted for. So soon of a. Did you get all of my everything I said to you about the Scene Master there, Eero? If Scene Master, it does not affect anything you have live. Okay, good. I didn't have it muted out for you on it there. Sorry. You could do it with a macro, Maros, and we'll talk about that on macro day. But yes, you could do that with a macro, basically. Give me a minute before we try going out. Let's see if we've got anyone got any questions on the blinds or blind modes that we went through, either regular blind, scene master, or key profile questions. How about I just save that one till macros next Tuesday, Mario, just to keep it on target for that. But yeah, we could do it with a macro, input into the queue list, and you could have it set the BPM master when you fired Q5, set it to a certain speed, because you can type in a number. And actually, here we'll just show that real quick. But how to make the macro, I want to save it for that day. But if we do this, if we type in a number, let's say we want our BPM master to go to 128, and hit the blue swap button on our BPM master, it takes it to 128 BPM. So you just record a macro and put that in your queue list that would do that for you. Corey, I would usually do that with. I would do that with an unlinked chase gives you so fewer options. Instead of unlinked chase, I would do a queue list and then use queue release in your playback options to release any fixtures that are no longer affected by that queue. And that should do that for you. But I would do it with a queue list, not a chase. And where were you guys with the off the wall questions yesterday when we were starving for questions? Can you apply delay times on a queue? Let's dimmer from the selection of my fixtures, or just use overlap and do it the other way. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Uh, if this playback here, maybe this will help answer your question some. I have a playback here that has a fade in and fade out. This one here that I called slide in. So if I bring the fader up on it, I see that my fixture's using fixture overlap. slide in across, and because it has a timed fade out on it also, because it's a mode 2 playback, if we bring it down, they fade out going back across. I'm not sure if that answers the question that you are asking or not, but you can do similar to that if that's what you're meaning. Yep, thanks for posting that, Sam. Everything is on there. Yes, can you give different times to different attributes? Yes. Watch the playback times video that Sam linked to a moment ago. That would be in there using timed group attribute times. Actually, we'll do that one last, and then after just to show it real quick, because I'm just gonna try to fill all the way out to the hour. We'll just show that real quick since key profiles. Not a lot of questions today on those. As much as we get questions in the Ava group, I figured we'd have a lot more questions on it today, but that's okay. So, can I give different attributes different times? Yes. So if I do edit times on this one, and we'll go into previous and next. We'll find group attribute times, and then we'll see here in the queue. It brings up this queue view and shows me all the different different times for all the different attributes that are in this playback. So let's say if I go to, we'll do pan. We'll give a 10-second fade in, and same on tilt. We'll give it a 10-second, and then we'll just exit on out of here. And then we're going to just select all these fixtures and make sure they're all pointing straight down. So as they come in on this fade in, it'll take them longer to move. Then the color and dimmer will come up. So if we do that, we can see they're slowly moving into place, but their dimmer and colors are already up. So I'm just using, of course, since I did overlap on it, it is following the overlap and doing all of that. That's why it's fading in like it is. I hope that answers the question there, sir. I know, Sam. They had the dream team ready to go, and we weren't there yet. They just weren't there with the questions. So, with that one, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day for today. Remember that you can find everything online here. We've got the avolites.com/online resources where you can find stuff put on by Sam, and hopefully Sam will be doing them soon, but Gordon and Aaron. You can find the avolites.us/training events .html. You can go to find the list of classes that we are doing here. And let's see. Oops, not the right one. I meant this one. This one. There we go. That's the slide I'm trying to go to. And if we scroll on down, tomorrow is going to be not that far to scroll. Show import and fixture mapping, and we'll have a good poke over at the user settings, and we'll go through all that and ask some questions. Answer any questions you guys have to deal with that. And let's see here. Let's do. Let me bring it up over here real quick. Let's see what they've got scheduled for tomorrow. Actually, shoot, I can't on that computer. I'll just bring it up on here. Oh wait, no, if I do that, it will crash OBS. Don't do that. Sam, can you tell me what the classes are on the regular for Gordon and Aaron are tomorrow? Since if I bring it up right now, I'll mess up OBS here because it likes to crash if I open up the Ava website while it's running. Kind of an odd one. But also we got the YouTube channel here where I've uploaded every session we've done so far, and I will upload this one today in high res since I remembered to record it today. We'll get it put up there and you can see those. Hopefully, we'll get that. That we'll get a custom URL. I have to wait 30 days. We got enough subscribers so that we can get a custom URL. We just have to have a 30 days of the channel being open, so we won't get to put it on until next month. But yes, timecode basics and external AI control are the new ones, are the videos that Mr. Gordon and Mr. Aaron will be doing tomorrow. And also, in case anyone did not know, version 12.1 of AI came out today, so that you can download that and have a poke at it if you have an Avo key license for AI, or if you happen to own an AI server, you can poke at that. But with that, I am going to go ahead and call it a day, and we'll have a good old time, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern again. Thanks for coming out.
Wheel stop.
Roger, wheel stop, Discovery. Welcome back. A great ending to the new beginning.